Your goal after watching this video is to be able to identify a rate and calculate a rate. Okay, so a rate is just one type of ratio. This whole chapter we've been talking about ratios, or comparing quantities to each other. And a rate is a specific kind of a ratio. So everything we talk about today is still a ratio, but we're talking about ratios that can also be considered rates. And here are a few examples of ratios that are also rates. The speed limit is 55 miles per hour. That would be considered a ratio because it's saying that every hour you can go 55 miles. It's not necessarily saying you just go for 1 hour and you only go 55 miles, but 55 miles in every hour that you go. The reason that this is also a rate is because our units are measuring different things. This unit is measuring distance and this unit is measuring time. So a ratio is also a rate if its units measure different things. Next one, $20 per hour. So this sounds like it's off of a help wanted ad. $20 in 1 hour. That's a ratio because it is saying that for every hour you work, you might not just work 1 hour, but for every hour you work, you get paid $20. It is also a rate because the units are measuring different things. So dollars is a measure of how much you get paid, and hours is a measure of time. So that is also a rate. Then we have lemons for sale. And it says you can buy 3 lemons for $2. That is a ratio because for every $2 you spend, you get 3 lemons. You might not just buy 3. You might spend $4 and get 6, but in simplest form, it would be 3 lemons for $2. That is also a rate because our units are different measures. So lemons, that's a type of food, an amount of lemons you're going to buy. The bottom is measuring money, so cost per lemon. So this is also a rate. All 3 of these are rates. We are also going to talk about a specific type of rate called a unit rate. A unit of something is one of something. So a unit rate is a rate that has a denominator of 1. So 55 miles per hour, that's a rate, but it's also a unit rate because it tells us how far we go in 1 hour. If it was 110 miles per 2 hours, it'd still be a rate, but it would not be a unit rate because our denominator is not 1. Most things we deal with in life, most rates, are unit rates. They tell us how much money we make in 1 hour, how fast our car can go in 1 hour, how much 1 pound of food costs. So then this next one would also be a unit rate because its denominator is 1. It's telling us how much we make in 1 hour. If it was telling us how much we make in 3 hours, it'd still be a rate, but it would not be a unit rate. A unit rate means the denominator is 1. This last one, lemons, is a rate, but it is not a unit rate. The unit rate for this would tell us not how many lemons you can get for $2, but how many lemons you can get for $1. That would be a unit rate, and we have to figure out how many lemons that would be. Okay, here's one more example. 3 pizzas, $27 for 3 pizzas. That's a ratio. Every 3 pizzas costs $27. It's also a rate because we're measuring cost, and here we're measuring quantity of food or of an item, but it is not a unit rate because its denominator is not 1. A unit rate would tell us how much 1 pizza would cost. So $27 for 3 pizzas, if we wanted the unit rate, we'd say, okay, how much would 1 pizza cost? And since they divided the number of pizzas by 3, we divide the cost by 3, and our unit rate would be $9 for 1 pizza. So here we have a rate and a unit rate. Here we have just a rate. And both of these can be considered ratios. Both of these are types of ratios. Okay, writing a rate. Notice it doesn't say a unit rate, it just says a rate. The double number line shows the rate at which you earn points for successfully hitting notes in a music video game. So picture Rock Band or Guitar Hero. You hit a note, you get points. You hit 2 notes, you get more points. You hit 3 notes, you get more points. Write a rate that represents this situation. There are so many different rates you can write for this one. I could say that you get 450 points for hitting 3 notes, right? That's a rate. That is one possible rate. It's not a unit rate, but it didn't ask us to write a unit rate. I could have written this one instead, 600 points for 4 notes. You hit 4 notes in the game, you get 600 points. That's also a rate. That's one possible answer. If we didn't like those two, we could do this one. You could say 150 points for hitting 1 note. That's a rate. The nice thing is that one's also a unit rate because the denominator is 1. All right, so working with unit rates. A Japanese bullet train travels 558 miles. Actually, I'm going to do this a little differently. I'm going to use a ratio table. All right, 558 miles. So I see miles first. I'm going to put that on top. In 3 hours. So we're dealing with miles here. Ready? Miles an hour. 558 miles in 3 hours. How far does it travel every hour? So here we are finding a unit rate. We want to know how far it goes in 1 hour. Remember from the lemonade experiment in class, to create a equivalent ratio, you can only multiply or divide. The recipes of lemonade we made that were adding or subtracting tasted really bad. So you can only multiply or divide. So we're going to ask ourselves, how did they get from 3 to 1 by multiplying or dividing? They divided by 3. They took our number of hours and divided it by 3. So then we need to take our number of miles and also divide it by 3. It's kind of common sense. If you have, if your time gets divided in 3, then the amount of miles that you can go also needs to become less. It needs to be divided by 3. So if I do 558 and I divide it by 3, calculator is totally fine to use on this, right? 186. What does that mean? Miles. So in 1 hour, a Japanese bullet train can go 186 miles. Think about our cars. Usually our cars driving on roads around here go 55 miles an hour. This train is going more than 3 times that. 186 miles in 1 hour. That's crazy, and it's really cool. So let's check. Did we answer the question? How far does it travel every hour? 186 miles. All right, you pay, this is a common one at the store, you pay $8 for 16 ounces of sliced turkey. Write a rate that gives the price for each ounce of turkey. All right, so we want 1 ounce to be our denominator. So I'm going to make sure to put ounces on the bottom and dollars on the top. We pay 8 of those dollars for 16 ounces. We want to find the cost, or the unit rate, for 1 ounce of turkey. So again, think about our lemonade recipes. When you make a good recipe, you have to either multiply or divide each ingredient. You can't add or subtract. So how do I get from 16 to 1? By multiplying or dividing. I divide by 16. If I'm going to divide my ounces of turkey by 16, you better hope that I don't have to pay as much as I did for 16 ounces. So we're also going to divide our cost by 16. And if I do 8 divided by 16, I get this. All right, 50 cents. So 1 ounce of turkey costs 50 cents, or half of a dollar. All right, here we go. Last page. A chef buys 6 pounds of salmon fillets for $51. So salmon is a type of fish. All right, they buy 6 pounds of salmon fillets for $51. How much will the chef pay for 9 more pounds of salmon fillets? Okay, so since we're trying to find pounds, let's put that on the bottom. So we've got pounds, and we've got cost. And right now we know that if he wants to buy 6 pounds, it's going to cost him $51, which is, whew, that's a lot of money. All right, we want to know how much 9 pounds is going to cost. So 9 pounds. Now here's the struggle. If we look at this, and we say, how do you get from 6 to 9 by multiplying or dividing? And I try 6 times 1, 6 times 2, 6 times 3, none of them are 9. 6 divided by 1, 6 divided by 2, none of them are 9. It's not easy to go from 6 to 9 by multiplying or dividing. So let's find the unit rate. Let's find out how much 1 pound would cost. So we say, okay, we're dividing our number of pounds by 6. So we should divide what we pay by 6. We should only pay 1/6 of the cost if we're getting 1/6 of the salmon. So 51 divided by 6 8.5. So $8.50 for 1 pound. Now the real question is, how much will 9 pounds cost? So I'm going to say, okay, now from 1 to 9 is pretty easy. I'm going to multiply the number of pounds I'm buying by 9, so I also need to multiply my cost by 9. $8.50 times 9, because I'm paying $8.50 for each of those pounds, $76.50 for 9 pounds of salmon fillets. If you want to stop here, you can. I'm going to do one more example if you're still a little lost. So this one, you buy 2 pounds of tilapia, also a type of fish. Tilapia fillets for $16. What is the cost for 7 pounds of tilapia fillets? So again, we're trying to find the cost for 7 pounds. I'm going to put that on the bottom so we can get a unit rate if we have to. And here we have our cost. 2 pounds cost $16. We want to buy 7 pounds. But from 2 to 7 is not easy to do. 2 times 3 is not 7. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8, so we skipped right over it. So one thing you could do is find a unit rate first. Find out how much 1 pound costs. So we're dividing our number of pounds by 2. We're dividing our costs by 2. We get $8 for 1 pound. Right? Dollars. So if 1 pound costs $8, then how much would 7 pounds cost? And now it's pretty easy. How do we go from 1 to 7? We're taking our number of pounds times 7, so we need to take our cost per pound times 7. $8 for each pound, each of those 7 pounds, 8 times 7, means we're spending $56